Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for tuning in to the fourth installment of Amy's Top 25. We're going to get right through these today. Maybe I'll get all 10 of them here. I've got 5 tunes on the list: St. Thomas, Someday My Prince Will Come, Black Orpheus, Cherokee, and Footprints. I don't know Footprints. I'm going to have to look that one up. Let's start with St. Thomas. Pretty easy tune, but sometimes it's played at a pretty fast tempo, so got to watch out for that. Chords in the book here are C. That could be a C6-9. Played like that, maybe. And you know, the C, the symbol C there is over the last note on the tie there, but you should really put that C chord right where that accent is, so it'll be on beat 4 of measure 3. And I'll listen to the original recording of this, and I don't really hear all those chords in there. Sometimes it's just something like, you know, just a 1 and a 5 and a 1. Reharmonize it like this. So just adding one more chord there, the F. That's kind of like the move. 1, 4, 3, 6, 5. Maybe you can make it a dominant. Yeah. That's pretty nice. Does that twice and then goes. So I didn't know there was a little 8th rest there before that last line. Okay, so let's see what we can do with this song. You know, a good way to practice this one might be to play the bass line. And one thing I like to do, I don't really play this song very often, and unfortunately, I don't get to play enough jazz, but I think I'm actually going to be starting a 3 or 4 night a week job here pretty soon. Not all jazz, but at least might get my mojo back. So we'll see what happens. But I like on the end here to do some bluesy thing. Yeah, play the bass line. It's a fun way to play this song. Now, when you're doing a bass line, you're playing a lot of roots. The right hand, you ought to be aiming for 3rds and 7ths. That'll help, you know, in the absence of chords, that'll help outline what the harmony is. And if you listen to Sonny Rollins, he plays a lot with just a bass player and a drummer, and he does that a lot too. You know, on E minor, he'll go and then A7, you know, from the 3rd up to the flat 9. Again, that guy David Baker up there in Tennessee, you know, he wrote a whole chapter in his book about doing the 3rd up to the flat 9, because that kind of outlines the chord pretty well. You know, E minor, and then A7th. Go from this. You could do something, you know, a little funkier, you know, instead of just this, you know, you could do kind of a blues turnaround. That kind of thing. I have a video about turnarounds, too. You could use probably every one of those turnarounds on this song. Yeah, put a little blues into it. Someday My Prince Will Come. This is a song I know well, and I usually teach this song too, and what I do is teach how to play it with open voicing, so I'll do that first. And these are using all the standard formulas and the tension formulas. Now I'm going to play it a little bit slower, and I'm going to basically use those same voicings, but I'm going to add some extra tensions to the chords. Black Orpheus, a tune I also teach quite often. And I'll just show you kind of how I do it. I take the melody up an octave. Right, it's got A minor, B minor 7. I had a student once that made up a little code, and she used to write these little marks over the chords. I'm going to show you how that works. You put like a little flat line if it's a white key, and then a straight line up and down if it's a black key. So like the first chord would just be 4, horizontal lines, and then when you get to like E7th, you'd have like horizontal, and then vertical, and then horizontal for the white, black, white, white. And I mean, you could still make mistakes, but it kind of gets your hand ready for the right hand position. And anything you can do to help yourself learn something faster is good. There's no bad way to learn something. If you can learn it, you learn it. And I say, there's a lot of space here, a big hole, 7 beats worth, so you can put a little blues scale in there like this. And then do the next part. And right here, I just do C sharp diminished because that really is an A7 with a flat 9 also. So I just cross out that A7 chord, just stick with the C diminished. 2, 5, 1 in C. Up to the 4 chord before returning to our 2, 5, 1 in A minor. So, I mean, if you're a really beginning student, you should do every chord in root position, right? You have to jump around a lot. Once you know the chords a little better, then you start inverting, chords that that can keep things closer together. Like on a 2, 5, 1, if you do the 2 here, root position, and then the 5 as an inversion, and then the 1 chord, that works pretty well. Another way to do it is to start with the inversion, then play the dominant chord there in the middle in the root position, and end up back with an inversion. But, ending on your tonic chord there as an inversion is not quite as strong sounding, so it's better to do it this way if you can, or if you do it this way, you can still, go to a root position chord there if you like. So, I mean, you're the arranger, so you have to come up with your own ideas about this. Sometimes you can use a version that's not used as much, like this. You see, that gets right back to the root there, so that's a good one. Let's use that one. What was it? Oh, perfectly good. So I could start with the inversion, then the dominant. And that works okay. Now, isn't that a nice sequence? If you're a composition student and you take a melodic idea and then you do it up a step or down a step and then maybe down another step. What is it? That's the first one, and then second one. Generally, 3 times is enough. In the classical world, 3 is good. 4, too many. Just look at a painting. You'll see, 3 figures or 3 apples or something, Now, the second half starts off the same way. Then we go to E minor 7 flat 5. This is a 2, 5, 1 in D minor. So now our A chord is a dominant, and I just tell you from experience that students learning this song will put A minor there because they've played so many A minors in this song already, but that's A dominant, so it has to have a major triad with a flat 7. And I'm sorry if you already know all this information, but this is kind of a general video to just kind of help all kinds of people. I'll put some advanced stuff in here too. Next line has a lot of chords on it, and this is how I suggest doing it. Yeah, okay, so it starts on D minor. The slash chord means that's the bass note. So you have a D minor with C as the bass note. And that's where the bass player should go too. Now, if you have a bass player, you really don't have to worry about that. You can just play D minor. And then on to B. But look, on solo piano, it works well. Because you go down one more note and there's your next chord. B half diminished. Or B minor 7 flat 5. That chord has two names, half diminished or minor 7 flat 5. Version. Now let's do the same thing on A. Takes us right to F. And I have a good reharm for this part. That's a nice, very pensive little melody. And then there's the ending, which just does a lot of all minor chords. All right, now let me show you the little reharm in the middle. Second half. Isn't that nice? If you already know this song, you can appreciate how great that sounds. And yeah, that's something I got off of YouTube years ago. You know, I watched some guitar player play it, and he did it like that. Might be a nice melody to harmonize to. Okay, a Cherokee. You know, this, if you listen to the original of this, it's nothing like the way it gets played today. Today it gets played at like 5,000 beats per minute. Got a lot of 2-5-1s. That's a nice change. I don't think many people do it that way. They just play B flat, B flat. Like, certainly when you're soloing, you know, a lot of times you make the chord progression as really as simple as you can, and that way it gives you a little bit more freedom just to, you know. I never hear anybody put that F augmented in there, not when they're soloing, and I think it's a nice touch if you can get it in there. Second ending. All right, now here's where the fun begins. You have 2 5s and all your favorite keys. First in B. So let's just do the melody. Now a 2-5-1 in A. Now one in G. And now a 2-5 in F. And then one in B flat. Okay, and that's a typical way to kind of end a B section. All right, so let's see if you're going to solo on that. You know, you stay in B major on the first 2-5. Except I use the diminished scale on the middle chord, on the dominant chord. I'm going to do that again in A. And I'm going to do it in G. And here I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do Lydian dominant on the dominant chord. And here I'm going to do, what am I going to do? I'm going to do an altered. Because, it says F plus 7. That's the sharp 5, but if it's a dominant chord, which it usually is, then that makes it kind of a flat 13, and that can be considered an altered chord, and yeah, you won't go wrong doing that. And I came down there and ended on, that's a B flat chord, but I ended on the 9th. That's stronger than ending on the root. The root's probably the worst one to end on. I mean, it's okay. If you hit there, no harm done, but it might be okay, especially in a song like this, gets you right back to the right key. But generally, you want to try to end on the 9th or some other chord tone, major 7th, or something like that. All right, and then we're back to the A section. I think it's just the same. So, I did my little C sharp to F and then C to F. And then, for my turnaround, I just did that. Because I'm so creative. Footprints. I don't even know what real book it's in, so I'm going to have to look it up. All right, so our second waltz here today, we had Someday My Prince Will Come, and now Footprints. Yeah, I remember playing this with one of my students, and he knew it and I didn't. Bass line. So let's see what we got. C minor here for about the whole damn tune. It looks like it goes to F minor for a little bit. Then we got a 2-5-1 in C. It says D7, D flat 7, but you should know that's a 2-5-1 because D flat is the tritone of G, you see. The thirds and the sevenths are the same, so that's why that works. And then it goes back to C minor. All right, so what do I need to cover in this song? Anything? It's pretty easy. Can we use some kind of cool voicing there? Yeah. There's no melody at all here. No. Same melody note now on F minor, so it's F minor 11. Okay, this song really bores me, so I'm just going to... Oh, and that's it. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I did them all. All right, so I'll just keep going. Let's do the last ones. Girl from Ipanema. I love this song. I don't care how corny it is. It gets requested all the time. There's some nice things you can do with it. And you should learn to solo on that bridge, too. I mean, that bridge will get your soloing chops in order. So let's take the song. Yeah, if you're doing like solo piano, you want to do a little Latin thing like... You can use C7 or G flat 7th, pretty much interchangeably. Just listen to what your bass player is doing and try to do the same thing. Okay, one of the best bridges ever. So let's talk about that bridge for a second. I like this chord because there's three kinds of G flat chords in there. There's a G flat major seventh, there's a G flat dominant seventh, and there's a G flat minor seventh in this song. So you get your G flat together. So let's start on the bridge. It's major seventh. All right. So, if you're not in the home key of F, if you have another major seventh chord, any other major seventh chord, do Lydian. It shares that one note there with the F major scale, or maybe another note too, but so, you're coming from F, kind of ties the two together, and, work on some riffs for G flat. You don't want your stumble right out of the starting gate here, so. And that's a B dominant, and it's, unaltered. Got a nice 13 there. So the Lydian dominant scale works well. And then we get the G flat minor. Might call it F sharp minor, but same thing. All right, now it starts this little pattern. It'll descend by a major third, and sometimes the 2 comes before that. And then, where's that D7 go? G minor. Nice 9 on the top. Descend another a major third to E flat. Or, you could think of it, the 2 chord. Up to B flat minor. But you don't have to do those. And actually, even if the bass player hits the E flat and you're on the B flat minor, it's going to sound okay. Check it out. See? Suppose you go to A minor, but the bass player plays D. See, it's like a D suspended. And then do the same thing here. Bass player hits E flat, but you hit B flat minor 7th. Kind of nice. Okay, now here's a great melodic thing, comes right off the original recording. So the melody splits up there. Work that in. And also in the song you can do the move. You can do 1 to the 4 to the 3, and that's the move, and then it puts you right on G dominant. All right. All the Things You Are. I think I did like 5 videos on this song, so I'll just play it for you today. Green Dolphin Street, another song I like teaching. It's a fun tune. This one switches between kind of a Latin and a jazz thing. The most common keys are C major and E flat major. So learn it in both keys for sure. And it's a fun song to do in any key. All right, so you can keep C be on the bass of the whole thing here if you want. Sounds like the end of The Way We Were. Yeah. Or you could put the bass notes in. I kind of like it like that too. And then that's the Latin part, so. And then, it goes into a swing there. You can just go right into it, or at the end of the A section, you can do a to kind of lead into it. And here's a change that's not usually in the book. Do a 2/5 to the F minor. All right, now watch it. That's a C flat there. All right, it's a B flat, flat 9 there. So C flat would be what they call that. Okay, and there's some good drop 2 opportunities here. Back to the Latin. Chord symbols. Do the same thing we did in Black Orpheus. We could work that bass line that. All right, and then do the same thing here. All right, the melody. E minor 11th. There's the voicing. How many ways could you play E minor 11th? And sometimes when you get into the solo section, you stay with that Latin swing thing for a while, but then at some point it just kicks into a pure swing the whole way through. All right. Stella by Starlight. Okay, we could do a whole video on this. I think maybe I'll just do that someday. Whole video on Stella by Starlight. I think I've actually got one up there. It's kind of a basic. Yeah, I'll just play Stella, I guess, for you. we'll just thank Amy Nolte once again for all the singing that she does. It really helps you play better. I'm going to do more of that in the future. All right, Confirmation, another tune I do not know. I know of it. You know, I've got my own list of 25 tunes coming out. It's not any better or worse than Amy's list. Amy's list is great, but my songs are a little bit more like tunes that get called on gigs that aren't necessarily like a strict jazz gig, but, you know, stuff that like girl singers like to sing, and some standards that are a little bit more modern. And one tune in particular is called, this was an old bebop tune, Donna Lee. And it's, you know, on some standard changes or something. But if you learn the melody of Donna Lee, you practically can take a jazz solo at that point, because it's just so full of riffs. And once you get that under your fingers, you've got a lot of material to work with. And a good friend of mine, who was just a killer sax player, his name was Eric South, by the way. You know, he retired from playing the sax to become a biologist. Smart move. But just a brilliant sax player. And he went up, I think, to Tennessee to study with that guy that I keep talking about, David Baker. And David Baker says, learn Donna Lee, learn the melody, learn it in all 12 keys. And he did. And let me tell you, that guy can play. David Baker and Eric South. All right, Confirmation. Yeah, I kind of knew this one. Little bluesy riff there. What was that? I might check my Charlie Parker book for that riff. This is a song a lot like Donna Lee, actually. And if you learn this in all 12 keys, you know, you'd have some good riffs under your fingers. But, you know, sometimes riffs just work better in one key than another. So if you're doing it in an odd key, you know, you want to try to find some things that maybe work well in that. Confirmation. Very first song in the book here. Let's see how it compares with the real book here. Yeah, it's got a flat there. The real book's got E. This is measure 7 and 8. And this is, all right, they both sound weird to me. You know, the way to learn jazz isn't from books, but you want to learn jazz, you got to listen to jazz and then play along with recordings. That's a really good way. J.B. Abersol, or just actual recordings, you know, to get the Charlie Parker record out and play along with it. And then play with real musicians, too. You got to do that. You know, I think the way I'll start learning this tune, I'll play the melody with both hands. I've really been working on my left hand a lot. You know, I injured it years ago. I can't move that finger in on its own. Don't have much feeling in that finger. But, you know, I've played a lot of classical recently and really worked on that. I still can't. That's getting better. All right, so I'm going to do a two-handed melody. And then it's got a solo. I play solo. I circled something over here. Ah, yeah, see, on B flat. That's just a good riff. Why don't I ever think of that? And really, if you take just like one little thing like that, and just work on it a little while and try to insert it into the songs you already know and in the ones that you're learning, you know, your playing doesn't get stale. You'll always have something that, you know, you're into or is inspiring you, or something you're working on that you want to use. And, you know, just to use the same old stuff over and over again, that's when your playing becomes stale.